all you've got is now, and just accept that and give up seeking. So that is a very attractive message to people who have been seeking and have got very lost and confused in it. There's a lot available now. It's not just in little cliques, in little, like it was when I was young, or big, there was the big gurus and nothing in between really, or not much. Now, all the gaps in between, it's a sea of teachers, right? And speakers out there. And I think everything is so available that people have kind of searched and they've gone on this intensive thing where they're hearing all these messages left, right, and center. And I think some of it's kind of resonating with them and got through, but also they're getting really confused, disappointed by the process of seeking, which is the carrot hanging on the stick, like, oh, if you just do this, then you're going to be happy. All you've got is now, and just accept that and give up seeking. So that is a very attractive message to people who have been seeking and have got very lost and confused in it. It's a very appealing message to them. And then they look at the people who are still seeking and they say, oh, those poor people, deluded people, they just don't know this, that there's nothing to get. Just drop it all, and all spiritual endeavor is bullshit. So that in a way is also a kind of absolutism. So these seem to be the two camps, those that are still seeking and those that have given up seeking through dissatisfaction with it.
I mean, it's not a question of willpower, right? It's not a question of...
It's certainly not, no. And I think that's why these people who are seeking get confused, because the mind says, well, if I apply myself enough, this will happen. But yeah, I suppose what I'm saying is, well, yeah, but who's doing that, applying, who's trying to get it? And that's the vital ingredient, I think, that's missed in all this. Like, if it's the personality trying to get it to escape their pain or their suffering, there's no way it's going to work. How can it work? It's the personality itself getting on a treadmill, having hope in the future, blah, blah, blah. That's a specific thing that personality does to avoid suffering. And it says, oh, if I just get into this state, then I won't have to feel that, and I can be enlightened and everything will be wonderful. And not all seeking comes from a personality strategy. There is real seeking, and real seeking comes from yearning, as you know. And that is an urge in us that is there before personality. And that distinction is vital, because otherwise you just say, well, it's all part of personality, and it's not. So again, it comes back to the ability to say, who's driving this? Is personality driving that seeking, or is it coming from the yearning that's before personality? And if it's the former, yeah, it can only produce more confusion, and going to seek like hell, and then I'm going to get dissatisfied with it, and then I'm going to jump to the camp that says seeking's bullshit and give up, and you've only got this, and then you're on that whole personality-led merry-go-round of those concepts. But over here you've got real yearning, which is from before personality, and the seeking that comes from that is totally different. Because of choiceless awareness, really, because it's not being led by personality awareness. That means things are seen, the personality is seen through, and then you have real, dare I say it, growth. Growth meaning the personality is seen through, and then the spiritual stuff, inverted commas, is revealed. That the non-doer and all of that stuff just gets revealed then.
Because another friend said, like, you seem lost in this video and looking for answers, and I mean, this is the same reason why people don't want to be seekers and don't want to be seen as seekers and make fun of seekers, because you shouldn't be lost, you shouldn't be looking for answers. But in a way it's true. Like, in a way it's true. I, as personality, am lost and looking for answers. So
inquiry is looking for answers, isn't it? You're inquiring into something to look for answers.
Of course.
But from their point of view,
it's an absolute no go.
That mentality of the absolutists and all that is a shutting down of inquiry, because they think they know everything.
Yeah. It's in a way it's liberating to allow this. Like, yeah, I'm not there. I'm actually looking for answers.
Well, Markus, you are being who you are, where you are, and you're being true to that. You're not lost in a kind of conceptual world of what somebody else said about non-duality or whatever. You're being true to where you are. Like you could, and you've done this, you know, you've sat there, not with me, but before me, as you've told me, you know, you were heavily into the kind of absolutist thing. And you took on that paradigm and those beliefs, there's nothing to do and blah, blah, blah. You know, people can do what they want. They can take that on, but that's not freedom as I'm talking about it. That's just taking on conceptual versions of what this is that you've heard from somebody else and then deadening your life with it.
Yeah.
You being willing to say, yeah, I don't know that, or I don't know why I feel like that, or that's the price of admission. But you're alive, you're real, you're living your life. You're not just stuck in a concept. You're finding out for yourself. This comes back to this thing of whatever's happening now is your way in, as we spoke about. So that's very different to saying, well, you're not that, you don't even exist, so forget that. It's so different, isn't it? It's like absolutely the opposite. I'm saying, you don't know if you're that or not, but the only way you're going to find out is to go fully into this moment. So don't take on a belief about it. Find out for yourself.
I mean, you're saying, actually you're saying to free the relative dream character. Now, if we talk about the absolutist vocabulary, because that's like a crucial point in the question of seeking, because they all say, like a lot of these people say, this is just a dream character. You're just starting to watch the dream character, and like radical acceptance. That means like you basically stop seeking, because you just let the dream character be whatever it is. But you're saying it's possible to free the dream character, or as in your case, the personality.
I suppose I would say to that, like, who's stopping it? You know, if that's the personality, it comes back to this. Who's stopping the dream character? Who's trying to stop it? Who's believing they can stop it? Again, if that's personality doing that, that's just more dream character. It's a dream within a dream, you know. So I'm not disagreeing that it's a dream character, really, in one sense, all of this. I'm not disagreeing, but that's where I agree with them. It's like the root agrees, but what they've done with it, and in their denial of the relative, is where it goes wrong for them, as far as I'm concerned, you know. So just to jump to that level and say you're a dream character, so everything else is bullshit. I don't know. Yeah, hard to know what to say to that. It's just so ridiculous, you know.
I think it's because it's really energetically stuck, this dream character. Like you can say so many times it's just a dream character, but then, for example, this relationship drama is still completely happening.
Yeah.
So I can't like.
Well, so if that's happening, Markus, so you've got this belief and this idea that it's just a dream character, and then you've got everyday life happening and problems and a relationship problem, right? So that's a conflict, isn't it? Because there's the belief that I'm just a dream character and so nothing matters. But then in your life, if your partner is kind of screwing around or whatever, something matters to you. So there's a kind of lie in there. There's a disassociation, like, oh, it doesn't matter if she's screwing around because nothing's real anyway. but it's like what they're avoiding is the present moment, which is like in this present moment, I'm feeling hurt. Well, rather than being some idea of an ultimate truth, they're avoiding the truth of what's happening now. If they're escaping into that concept that I don't exist, while actually having strong feelings in that situation I just said, to look away from the relative and pretend it's not there because of a belief, something they've heard, or even something they've experienced once in an opening, that's not being awake as far as I'm concerned. That's just a dissociation. Yeah.
But do you acknowledge all the problems that seeking causes, like a lot of problems also?
Yeah, like, of course I do. Yeah. But again, that's seeking coming from personality.
Sure, there's a wide difference, but I would say that there's a lot of like unsuccessful seeking, let's say.
Yeah.
It just don't.
Well, I guess I would say that personality seeking can only be unsuccessful. It can't be anything else. And that's what these people who are against seeking hone in on. And it's kind of true in a way. Personality seeking cannot be successful because it's the personality doing it. And it's based on hope and all sorts of things, you know, just as focusing on the concept that they've heard that nobody exists, therefore it is unsuccessful too, because it's just a mind, it's just in the head. It's just a mind concept they've taken on. It's not going to change their lives much, apart from make it deaden it. So personality seeking has to be unsuccessful. So on that, I would agree with them, but they don't make the distinction. They say seeking is seeking. There is real seeking. An emblem of that is the Buddha's story, you know. He thought he didn't know anything about life outside the palace, and he started seeking, and then he saw suffering, and then, you know, he found what was beyond suffering. There is real seeking that comes from yearning, and that is, I would say, as long as it's true, that is successful. I don't see how it can not be. It doesn't mean you're going to avoid pain. You might have more pain, but it's the pull towards it is, if it's true, it's got to give results because you're moving in the direction of the light, as it were, you know?
So do you agree that you have to risk everything also? Like,
well, if everything is the personality, yes. And if you think you are your personality, then you are risking everything. If you see what I mean.
You somehow risk everything, right? Because at one point you could have lost a job.
Yeah, that's just the physical level. You know, the job was way down on the list. Risking everything really means finding out who you are and who you're not. And that's the risk. Because in the personality, you have all the benefits of thinking, I am this person, I have volition, and I'm doing this. That's what's lost. Yeah, I lost my life as I knew it, in which I was a successful author who was, yeah, had a pretty good life in some ways.
That's an important point of seeking, I think, because you're not getting like more and more rewards. You actually, it's hard to grasp that it doesn't mean like you're going to a beautiful place of coping with this life perfectly, because that's not what's happening. I mean, you have to give up coping, I think.
That's the kind of heat of seeking. This is what I'm talking about real seeking now. You know, it's kind of like a furnace, you know, and it produces this great heat in which everything is burnt off. But if you turn down the boiler, as it were, take out the fuel, then not fully engaged in it, then it's not going to work. You won't reach that boiling point where you risk everything.
Yeah.
You've still got something to protect. That's what I'm saying. That's how it works. There's the heat of those challenges. Are you going to go back to personality, or are you going to kind of let it burn up and see beyond it? The pull back to it is strong. I get that. I know that.
Very strong. It's amazing, actually.
Yeah. But you know, with me, you know, I was so broken down, I had nothing left, really. I mean, I can't just say it was that. I mean, I just think from my whole life, I just got to a point where there was nowhere else to go. That's how it felt. That was when the heat of it reached maximum, and then, yeah. And then seeking does stop. That's the ironic thing. So I'm not against seeking stopping, but it's like how it stops. It stops only by the shift happening. And until that point, they're still asking the questions and inquiring and seeking. Because until it's happened, that's not complete. It's like the personality hasn't been burnt out fully.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or I should say the identification with it hasn't been burnt out fully. Yeah. Crucial difference. So again, I'm not against seeking ending. Of course. You know, that's something that's put on this, isn't it? Like, oh, it's just endless, you know, and you just, no, it's not endless. That's the whole point. But it doesn't end until it's ended. If you pretend it's ended before it has, you're just fooling. That's the personality fooling itself and getting lost on a plateau, you know. But I think overall, the point of all this is that some people are getting confused and they've been seeking a long time and it's not working, and they're kind of like spiritual refugees, you know. But I think the crux of what I've said today and what we've got to is that there is personality seeking, and then there is, you know, you almost want a different word for it, but yearning seeking, real seeking. Mm-hmm. And then the personality seeking is a trap, and they're right, but they're not making the distinction between personality seeking and real seeking. And of course they would deny there is such a thing because they don't recognize the fact of the personality and what it's doing and how it functions. If you don't recognize that, you just see it all as one, right? But seeing that difference, I mean, this is why it's called life beyond personality, because it all comes back to that. Where's it coming from? And then you can divide, realize what's beyond it.